women and children. So she spoke for both groups, and Harriet was one of her deputies among the 6 women, most of whom had been taken for their ability to do fine work. As she and Harriet continued their promenade, the hems of the drab, featureless gowns they'd been given to wear stirring fallen leaves, Catherine contemplated, as she was sure every one of their number did these days, the delicate balance they were striving to maintain.
I wish there was some easier, more obvious and less stressful way we could manage this.
Harriet grimaced, then smoothed her features into a mask of unconcern.
It's a constant juggle. I know it weighs heavily on John. And he's doing a wonderful job. We wouldn't have any hope if it wasn't for him.
Catherine laid a hand on Harriet's sleeve and lightly squeezed.
We all understand the dilemma. We have to keep giving Dubois diamonds enough to appease his masters, whoever the blackguards are, while at the same time holding back as much as we can to stave off the time when the deposit is exhausted and they decide to shut the mine.
None of them harbored the slightest illusion about what would happen once a decision to close the mine was made. They would be killed, lined up and shot, or worse. Given the atrocities Dubois and his men had committed against one young girl early in the life of the mine, and the threats Dubois occasionally made when using one of the women or children to reinforce his control over the kidnapped men, worse, in this case, would be horrific. So horrific, none of them dwelled on the prospect. That was the other reason Dubois had arranged to have women and children added to the mine's captives. Quite aside from their necessary contributions to the work, they were the perfect pawns with which to ensure the men's compliance. As the location of the mine dictated that Dubois's impressed workforce had to be European, and, given his source was Freetown, that meant mostly English, he'd realized he would need an effective means of controlling said workforce. Dubois was all about effectiveness and control. He was cold-hearted, ruthless, and appeared to possess not a single scruple or finer feeling in his large, powerful frame. Because the mine was located within one of the native chief's lands, Dubois and his masters did not dare kidnap natives, not of any tribe. But the chief did not care about Europeans. In his eyes, they were not his concern. So Englishmen from Freetown it was. In addition, kidnapped English were also more useful in that all those taken had some training in skills required for the mine. Captain John Dixon had been targeted because he was an expert sapper, an engineer skilled in the construction of tunnels. Several of the other men had carpentry skills. Others were labourers, used to wielding picks, and all of the women had some talent Dubois or his masters had deemed useful. The children hadn't needed to be anything but children, quick and healthy, with small hands and keen vision. They even had several men and women with medical and nursing experience, which had proved useful in treating the occasional injury. Mining was inherently unsafe, and accidents had occurred, but the compound contained a decently equipped medical hut. Catherine cynically acknowledged that the one helpful aspect of Dubois's rule, absolute and unchallengeable as it was that his single-minded quest for effectiveness and efficiency meant he considered keeping his workforce as hale, healthy, and able as possible to be in his and his master's best interests. So regardless of his threats, which not a single one of them doubted he would carry out without a blink if they pushed him to it, he ensured that their needs were met so that they could continue to work and produce the raw diamonds his masters sought. That was what Dubois was being very well paid to ensure, that the mine was properly exploited and the raw diamonds dispatched in secret to Amsterdam on behalf of his masters. Just who those masters were,
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.